Hello, everybody, and welcome to Planet FPL, the world where everything revolves around Fantasy Premier League. My name's Suj.
And my name is James.
It's Monday morning. Do you know what? I was going to take a picture outside your house this morning, and I didn't. You know why? Because the question, the question we get asked more than anyone else more than any other question is, how do you guys record so much? Well, today, picking you up at 7:30 in the morning so we can get to the office at 8 o'clock. There's your answer, right?
Indeed.
Just get up early to give everybody 48 hours to listen to our voices before the next game week deadline, which will be New Year's Day. And then we're out of this madness. We can all just take a breath for FA Cup.
I think everybody needs to take a breath.
It's been a bit mental.
It's a wider conversation that I think we'll probably have again in the future about all the football on TV is great, love it, but the sheer volume of the 4 fixtures, I feel like the fixtures this weekend were probably a little unnecessary.
I think there's one too many.
Or I think everybody should have, in terms of evenness, Liverpool quite rightly, I know a lot of people moan they probably had the best of the spacing of the fixtures, but I think that was natural with them playing in the Club World Cup. City have had the opposite of it. Like Guardiola was taking the piss yesterday, wasn't he? He was like, oh yeah, thank you for 3 days break. If the fixtures were going to be as they've been, everybody should have played Boxing Day, and everybody should have played yesterday on Sunday, and everybody should play New Year's Day for it to be fair. And then everybody's got the 3-day spacing.
Yeah, and look, at the end of the day, they get to televise 4 games, right? Was there 4 on Saturday from memory, or 3 games?
So it's 3 on Saturday and 2
4 on Saturday. Yesterday. Your game, Brighton, Bournemouth. Your game, Burnley. 3. Sorry, yeah. And then 2. So 5 games. In a day, they could televise 5 games.
Many people will have streamed Man City and Sheffield United as well.
Yeah,
and a 3 o'clock game. So potentially, there's a lot of people may have watched 7 games over the last 48 hours. It's a lot.
We got so much to talk about. This has been obviously there's big things happening at my club in terms of the manager getting sacked and what have you. We got to talk about that. VAR weekend.
Can we not talk about
I don't know if we can not. This is probably the worst weekend I can remember for it getting to this state with VAR where everyone's had enough now.
In a roundabout way, I'm kind of glad it's happened. Because
you want it to break so that people can see it.
It's mainstream media now where there's serious heads in the media. You know, people like Lineker, who's obviously got massive social media following, who are now like, you know, this ain't working. And I think people like Lineker were quite pro to the idea in the first place.
Yeah.
This with the offside, it's the one I've always screamed about, the not being able to celebrate the goal. Like, was it 4 or 5 goals this weekend?
You know, I actually did
where someone's pubic hair is offside. That's ridiculous, mate.
I did the maths on my FPL team with and without VAR. I'd actually be number 1 in the world right now. Don't worry about checking it. You don't need to take the time. Just trust me. I've done it. Yeah, I'd be winning FPL if it wasn't for VAR right now.
Yeah, of course.
Something roughly about that. So also quite a funny weekend from a, I don't know if psychological point of view. Everyone shit in the bed on Saturday and then recovering on Sunday. I was on 20 points if you include auto subs and BPS after Saturday, which was better than
I was on 40, I think.
Ended up on 54, which at the start of the game week, which we'll get into talking about game weeks, I wanted 50 points and maintain my rank. I would have been happy with that. 54 points, and I had a 80k red arrow. So I went from 560,000 to 640,000, and I'm happy with that.
I thought you might have suffered worse there, actually.
I'm happy with that. 54 I thought was going to be okay. Just looking at it, and then all the auto subs and the people's armbands moving from Vardy to Mane and all of that kind of stuff.
There's all this hysteria Saturday. And I was on a decent total on Saturday night because I had Captain Kane, Rashford and Lindelof. Whereas a lot of other people, I think, had 4 or 5 players. There was obviously the whole Leicester thing with the whole team changing. So people had treble Leicester, I felt the pain a little bit more. But there were so many well-owned players still to play on Sunday with the De Bruyne, the Liverpool guys, even people like Aubameyang, etc. John Lundstrom, who didn't turn up. So it's like, you were right what you said when you streamed yesterday. Like, wait till the game.
Wait till it's finished. It's just not worth worrying about. I ended up with 54 points, like I said. So a small red arrow, perfectly stomachable. I could have ended up with not even 11 players on the pitch, but I did manage to get 11 players out. So I'm happy with that. De Bruyne's 14-pointer was good. Richarlison got me an assist. Clean sheet and from Robbo, and clean sheet and BPS from Trent. And then the thing was with Mopé in the end, I only had the assist and no BPS. And so that's fine. I'll take the 10-pointer, but Mane and Rashford and Kane, etc., all had a little bit of BPS, so just pushed that 6, 7, 8 points more. And I think that BPS was ultimately the difference between a red arrow and a green arrow. Just a little 5 to 10 points. So you know what? Take it, move on, and on we go. I didn't make any transfers. There's 2 free transfers going into this game week. What about you?
I also rolled. Didn't make any transfers.
Rolling.
Captain's Kane, obviously De Bruyne as well. Rashford, Lindelof, as I said. Lindelof's done his job and is now getting binned. TAA as well. Those were my returnees. Finished on 64 points for a 30,000 rise up to 303,000.
Not bad at all. There is
take that in a week that could have been. I mean, say Burnley equalised there rather than Rashford going and get the second. Like, I'm an awful game week. Very, very fine margins.
Between
very
you,
fine margins.
I don't know if it helps the listeners or not. So between you and I, there are now 31 points, and that's the equivalent of 340,000 places.
Yeah, sounds about right.
So we're talking 10 points is approximately 100,000 places right now, give or take. Probably a little bit more, 110,000
I think in
places.
certain areas it's probably a bit tighter than that.
Yeah, but I mean, between you and me right now, roughly give or take. So
if you're at 500k and you have 2 very good game weeks, you'll be in the top 200k.
Comfortably.
Certainty.
It's that jump up again
tight.
that's even harder into the top 100k. But yeah, interesting enough. Let's talk about this upcoming game week because it's literally 2 days away. There isn't a lot of time to think about these transfers, so sometimes you can go off instinct. Any strategy in place now? We're going into January. There's going to be these games and then the players get a rest. There's going to be a lot of rotation in the FA Cup for sure.
Yeah.
You'd think most teams will go strong now.
Rotation-wise, the one that's gone was always going to be the worst because of the short turnaround for so many teams. I know what I'm doing transfer-wise. Just a choice for me whether I bin Grealish or Zaha. I think I'm going to bin Grealish first.
Yep.
For Adama Traore, and then exact money to go Lindelof to Robertson, which was kind of the plan. If I'd have gone that way on my wild card, honestly, I would have gone Moutinho over Traore, and then I'd be sitting on it thinking I'm not changing that.
Yeah.
So
yeah. It's worked out a bit of a blessing.
I'm gonna pay a more premium price for Traore at 5.5 rather than 5.3. But
breaking the bank.
Yeah, I know how bad.
Yeah.
But I think he's worth getting in. They've got a decent fixture New Year's Day away to Watford. It's fine. The reason of selling Grealish before Zaha, I feel needs explaining a little bit. One, I feel like Villa are in trouble, massive trouble. We'll speak about them a bit more. They both got decent fixtures this coming game week with Grealish away to Burnley, Zaha away to Norwich. I feel I promised everyone I'd hold Zaha till New Year's Day, and as I've said previously, I'm quite entitled to change my mind. I've been watching Norwich again at the weekend. They're so ropey defensively. Spurs need absolutely shooting for not winning the game at the weekend. Didn't deserve to, by the way. And on the other side, if I will encounter a problem, Zaha's got Arsenal at home, whereas Grealish has got Man City at home. So the idea is probably to bin Zaha after Norwich as well. But if I encounter other problems, which is something always can happen, I'd rather be left with Zaha for that fixture than Grealish.
Look, Zaha, again, look, VAR denied him more returns at the weekend.
Another offside pubic hair.
So, yeah, I think Zaha, even against us, he could have had attacking returns. He played well. I don't think he's that far away from a haul. So, And he never will be. He's always going to be in and around the action. That's why you got him in, right? We're talking fine margins here now between returning and not.
Let's get real about it. It's been a bad transfer. Unless he gets a brace against Norwich, it's been a bad transfer.
It hasn't worked out, but I don't think it wasn't the wrong decision, but it hasn't worked out, more to the point. And then you with these things, you just got to suck it up and move on, right?
Oh, well, yeah, that's it.
I, like you, I haven't set my transfers in stone, but I kind of have a sort of strategy of where I want to go now. And it involves 4 or 5 potential moves over the next few game weeks. So I'll tell you where I want to get to, and then how I maneuver it in the next couple of game weeks, I'm going to figure out. So Raheem Sterling's going to go, and in is going to come Sadio Mane. So that's obviously another 0.4 million that I'm going to need. I want to get rid of Tom Heaton, and I'll either bring in Dean Henderson or Fabianski. I like the idea of Fabianski. He played well at the weekend, having just come back. So that's another 0.4 million that I need to find. I quite fancy Sidibe at Everton at the moment from Diego Rico. That's another million and a bit that I need to find.
You need to find some money.
Yeah, exactly. And then Mopé, I quite fancy the sideways move from Mopé to Dominic Calvert-Lewin at the moment, which value is even at the moment. So that I can put on the back burner. Even Heaton to Fabianski, I can put on the back burner as well. So the player that's going to make way for me will be Richarlison. And Richarlison will go to, same as you, Traore. I think at 5.5 million, he's great value. But that gives me enough money to take Sterling to Mane, Rico to Sidibe, Heaton to Fabianski, and then I can make that move from Mopé to either who did I say? Dominic Calvert-Lewin. And if I'm squeezing out enough money, like there's going to be 0.2, 0.1 in it, I may even be able to afford Danny Ings instead.
You want to sell Richarlison?
I want to sell Richarlison. I don't really want to, but if I'm getting in Dominic Calvert-Lewin, I've still got that. I'm not going to have double attacking Everton coverage.
No, I agree with that.
And pound for pound, Dominic Calvert-Lewin right now is better value for money than Richarlison. If Richarlison's not going to be playing up top, we know that now with what Ancelotti said and the form that Calvert-Lewin's in. So do I want Dominic Calvert-Lewin up top at 5.8 or do I want Richarlison 7.9? He's not cheap.
He's 8, Richarlison.
He's gone up. Sorry, I'll get 7.9 if I sell him. So he's not cheap. He's not cheap. And Traore,
I don't know. I feel like more paid to Calvert-Lewin and then move Richarlison on. I don't know. It feels like a little bit
Calvert-Lewin is like the last piece in the jigsaw. I don't really need to make that move, but I need to find money. So Richarlison downgrading him is the only one that the only space I have where I can downgrade to someone who's still playing and will still get returns, but not cost nearly as much.
Yep.
But the Sterling to Mane move has to be done. That will set me up with triple Liverpool for the double game week. Sidibe's been playing okay. You know, I do like the look of Sidibe, and I think Everton now are going to improve under Carlo Ancelotti. So I've got this kind of long-term strategy. I think it'll be this week with Richarlison to Traore, and then the move to get Rico up to Sidibe, or maybe Heaton to Fabianski. It's going to be one of those two, and the others will follow.
Good fixtures, Bournemouth.
Yeah.
I mean, one of the things I'm looking at beyond New Year's Day, and I'm just focusing towards that now, and then we've obviously got a nice long break with the FA Cup third round fixtures up till the Friday night Sheffield United West Ham game on the 9th, I think, isn't it? Or the 10th.
Yep.
One of the things I need to decide is which way I'm going on Liverpool. Now, I'm obviously going to go double. I certainly want a third. Now we know that the double game week is going to happen for Liverpool in game week 24. And I need to decide whether it's going to be Van Dijk, Mane or Salah and how I manoeuvre from that. Now, one thing that's probably going to happen for me is selling Harry Kane.
Yep.
And it kind of bring us a nice segue into the games. The person I'm probably thinking most about right now is Callum Wilson. And that's because of the run that Bournemouth now have. So I'm not sure forcing off Rico. Rico's a great sub to hang around for the next 6-7 game weeks.
Sure, but then I'll probably change my formation to a 4-3-3 rather than a 3-4-3 as it is at the moment. So toying at the moment. I'm not in any rush to make any moves because Richarlison, Sterling, like you said, Rico, they're all fine. Mopay, all four of them are fine. There's nothing wrong with any of these
Problem with
players.
Sterling is, at the moment, unfortunately, that's a lot of power for someone you may not captain when KDB's really covering it off, isn't he? Like you look at the fixture, obviously KDB's captainable against Everton, but then the week after with sort of Liverpool at Spurs, the captaincy's a little more awkward. Vardy's got a great fixture, but also De Bruyne's at Villa on the Sunday. And right now, at this moment, they're the worst defensive team in this league.
Yep.
And we talk about targeting teams like there's been target Norwich on occasions, target Watford. Right now, it's target Villa. I spoke last week about what Max Aarons was doing on the right-hand side, and now Ismail Sarr might have some joy against them. Sure enough, he goes and scores. They're in massive trouble, Villa. So you'd look at KDB and that. Would you captain Sterling if you held him for that fixture?
Yeah.
That's fair enough.
Yeah. I want to see what happens. He's played every game. So is he now due for a rest this midweek?
Well, the other danger with City at the moment is obviously they're in the League Cup semis against United. You know, how strong are they going to go or not go? Bearing in mind the title's gone. So he's Guardiola's going to be desperate to make sure it don't end up potless at the end of the season. He's won that trophy. Is it every year he's been here?
Has he?
So, or certainly 2 of the 3 years, I think.
I think it's 2 of 3 because 3 years ago didn't Jose win it with United, the League Cup?
You might be right.
2 years, yeah.
You might be right.
Yeah, interesting at the moment. And like the one thing I want to know from a City point of view is when Leroy Sané's fit again, please. So if somebody can just figure out when I can get that guy back in my team.
Such a risk.
9.3 million. As soon as he's played 2 games in a row, I'm buying Leroy Sané. Yeah. Anyway, so there we go. I'm out of the cup. President Kickbutt FC beat me this week with 68.
President who?
Kickbutt FC. Had the armband on Vardy. Had it conveniently moved across to Sadio Mane. So Tammy Abraham, Danny Ings, Sadio Mane captain, Kevin De Bruyne, Trent was enough to knock me out of the cup.
What's President Kickbutt's overall rank?
Overall rank now
points.
Is 177k.
Oh,
not bad.
He's kicking butt, in fairness.
Decent returns.
Unlike you, I'm still absolutely unbeaten in the FPL Cup this
year so far.
Yeah, that's because I never qualified in the first place.
I managed to get 3 rounds in, so that's all right. It'll do. Let's talk about some of these games.
Yes, shall we?
In as much or as little detail as we can, and we'll get onto some Q&A for everybody to listen to. Brighton 2, Bournemouth 0, which was our live stream on Saturday. By all means, if you have an hour and a half spare and want to go and watch us watching a game that is now finished and was about 3 or 4 days ago, there is a live stream kicking around on YouTube.
We also, for those who listen to the Christmas Day special of our awards of the decade, we did pick this challenge, or I picked really, that Adam Hopcroft gave us to pick one player from 11 different teams, and we did that during the half time of the stream. So that I'll see if I can find a minute and I'll link that.
Yeah, I'm sure there's a way. Manchild, if he ever turns up, I don't even know where he is. Everybody tweet.
Probably in bed.
Yeah. He might be able to snippet that bit out from YouTube somehow.
Anyway,
using his whiz.
Brighton
were good. I didn't think it wasn't.
They're normally good.
It wasn't a particularly exciting game, but I think that because they went 1-0 up early, they managed to just gain management, really, wasn't it? And keep control of the game. The difference for me, who was man of the match, and I think you agree, Aaron Moy controlled the midfield brilliant. So much better than anyone else did. Josh King was an attacking threat for Bournemouth, and whilst you're jumping on Callum Wilson, for those that don't have the money to get to Callum Wilson, I think Josh King is not a bad alternative. He's in that land of same price as Danny Ings, or a couple of pips cheaper, not much difference in it. And I don't know if he is better value than Danny Ings necessarily, but if you are looking for a differential to have there, but he's got a yellow flag at the moment.
For those who watched the Match of the Day highlights on Saturday night, we're very much highlighting what I've been highlighting for a number of weeks about Moy, and it's not always Moy, picking up positioning between the lines. They do it so well, Brighton, and it's why they're constantly a threat in games at the moment, whether it be Moy in that area or Gross. Really, really good at it. I thought, Suj, watching the game with you on Saturday, 10 minutes in, that your Morpay captaincy shout looked absolutely amazing. Because not only had he had the assist, he's already had 3 shots on goal in the first 10 minutes.
All from outside the box.
Yeah, the problem was they're all off target and it really damaged his BPS.
And they were all... The thing that put me off with him was that they were all from outside the box. And I like it that the striker's willing to have a crack. You know what? If you have a sight of goal, shoot.
Look at the goal he scored against Wolves. He's full of confidence at the moment, isn't he?
Yeah, he certainly is. I mean, Chelsea at home this game week.
I think as brave differential punts go as captains, actually, I'm normally critical of you. This wasn't a bad one. I think he was a little unlucky.
It was a tough game week. Chelsea at home would be an interesting fixture for...
They'll give Chelsea trouble in that area.
For them, yeah. I mean, look, Arsenal had a good game against Chelsea yesterday, so...
I think the fact that Chelsea are probably going to end up swinging back to a back 4 now, which we always thought was the longer term goal for Lampard, will probably help them in this particular fixture rather than a back 5. Because I think if they played a 2 in midfield, what Brighton would do between the lines and narrow the pitch would give them some real trouble. But Brighton will give them a proper game. I saw quite a few had gambled on Webster at 4.4. You're desperately unlucky. I guess it was probably safer to spend a little bit more on Lewis Dunk, having missed the Tottenham fixture. But I'll maintain what I always maintain with these. Really, really good. Nice moment for Jahan Prakash.
Yeah.
Who, when we saw he was starting, was a bit like, wow, that's left field. But yeah, he was upset, wasn't he? His points per game this season looks pretty good now, I think. On Bournemouth.
They've got 7 games now. So West Ham, Watford, Norwich, Brighton, Villa, Sheffield United, Burnley. If they're in the bottom 3 come the end of these 7 games,
they're in massive trouble.
That's it then. Lights out. Because after that, they've got a horrible run. And in the run-in, you're looking at United, Tottenham, Leicester, Man City, Southampton, Everton. That's their last 6. Very, very difficult. In the 3 games before that, Crystal Palace, Wolves and Newcastle. Crystal Palace and Newcastle dogged in defence, and Wolves can beat any team in this league on their day. Even yesterday, they were good with all the changes that they made. So their run-in from game week 28 to 38 is going to be tough. They need to pick up a good, from these 7 games? What do you think? 15 points?
Yeah, I used to feel one of the things we were discussing on the stream, though, was like the guy getting players back fit. You look at them now as a bit more depth with sort of like Wilson, Solanke, King. Junior Stanislas, his first game for 8 months. I don't know how far away Brooks is, but it's starting to feel like they're getting the attacking talent back fit. The one thing that really puts me off going for, say, Callum Wilson, I'll do some numbers on him in a sec. He's going back to when I met up with AFC BNG before Spurs played Bournemouth in November, and what he was saying about how stifled they feel going forward at the moment. And that's hanging in the back of my head. But I do feel like with the return of these players, as we already said, Josh King I thought was quite lively at the weekend, particularly in the first half, that there might be a swing for them. Callum Wilson has 8 attacking turns this season. None of them since game week 7. There's nothing to go on here.
I mean, he has missed a few games, an injury. What's his price now? Because he started the season at 8 million.
He's not missed too many of those games in that run.
What's his price now? Because he started the season at 8 million.
7.4 million, owned by under 5%.
Yeah, it is a real drop off.
Am I back into Zaha here in terms of, look at these fixtures?
Yes.
I could be, couldn't I?
Yes.
Yeah.
I do think so. Players like Zaha and Callum Wilson and what have you, over a longer period of time, they will always come good. If you look at their stats over like 50 games or 60 games. But in these micro periods of 8 to 10 games, you can't really use the stats of like 60 or 100 games to extrapolate what's going to happen in the next 6 to 8. And Bournemouth, I feel, Eddie Howe's been there a long time. Things are getting stale a little bit. I think it's time. I think he's done it. He's done what he can, and he knows it, and they know it, and yeah.
Have they just gone through a period here where they've had a lot of injuries in forward positions? I look at Wilson as a shorter punt than say what I went on Zaha, where I looked at a longer period. Although the fixtures look nice for a while, I'd look at it and go, I'm not going this week. That's definite, unless I heard sort of Kane's injured, in which case I might be going -8s or something. So then I'd be going in for Watford at home, Norwich away, Brighton at home, Villa at home. I mean, I don't know. I feel like that's worth the gamble, them 4 fixtures.
From Harry Kane. And if you move from Harry Kane to Callum Wilson, where are you spending the extra money to get in Sadio Mane?
So I need to decide. I mean, I could very easily go Ali straight to Mane, for example.
Then it's potentially worth it. Will Mane outscore Harry Kane in the next 4 or 5 weeks? You'll tell us when we talk about the Spurs game.
Probably.
Yeah. Well, in that case, then maybe consider it because you want to get the most points possible. Newcastle 1, Everton 2. Another great result for Everton. Starting to get some momentum now, started by Duncan Ferguson. You think everything you see from Everton fans is much, much more positive. Sean, our friend at Spirit Blues, or is it Spirit _Blues? Handles are always a pain. Now saying that there's a few players putting their hands up as potential considerations from an FPL point of view. And I don't disagree with him. I think Sidibe is a good attacking fullback now. Calvert-Lewin at 5.9 million is banging in the goals. Richarlison, Sigurdsson, maybe both picked up assists at the weekend.
Throw Mason Holgate into the conversation as well. 4.4 now looks like he's a lock. He's also versatile. I think he ended up this game at left back to cover off. So
he's a bench
think
filler.
He's already played 4 different positions in 2 games under Ancelotti. But that versatility is positive because obviously they changed the system again at the weekend, as I thought they might, facing the different challenge of Newcastle's back 5. So they went to more of a conventional 4-4-2. I think Holgate is a good alternative for you when you might be struggling a little bit financially there. Rico to Holgate.
But Holgate's more expensive. Rico, I'll get 4.3 on.
Yeah, so what, Holgate 0.1 more? What I'm saying is then you're not spending $1 million more, are you? 0.9 difference between Sidibe and Holgate.
Okay, I see what you mean. Instead of Sidibe, yeah, but for me, Holgate is a bench filler, whereas Sidibe's a starter.
You can make a case for starting Holgate, particularly after, obviously it's Man City this week. You certainly probably wouldn't play Holgate in that sort of fixture. You probably can get away with a Sidibe. Brighton at home, West Ham away, Newcastle at home, Watford away, Palace at home. You could argue further, even Arsenal away, Man United at home. Yeah, you can start him in these sort of fixtures. So I think he's an alternative, is what I'm saying, for those who are struggling financially, not sure if they've got the trust yet in Everton. I think it was a nice 2 fixtures to start with. 2 sides basically sitting mid-table, not currently under threat of relegation. You get the positivity of the bounce. It was interesting. One of the things I did notice looking at it briefly statistically was these 2 both had the most shots on goal this weekend, Newcastle and Everton.
Okay.
Both had 18 shots.
It's probably an open game.
It sounds like it. But then that's part of the point. Do you then want to gamble defensively? It's like looking at a clean sheet at home to Burnley, isn't it?
I think with Sidibe, it's the attacking returns as it is with all defenders.
The reason I went to Lindelof and made the decision over Sidibe, which I would have got a bit more if had I gone Sidibe, was basically targeting, right, which 2 teams can I look at? Am I most likely to get a clean sheet here over the next 2 game weeks? And they both had the same fixture, right? Burnley and Newcastle. And I ended up going Lindelof for the security of the 2 starts. More difficult challenges to come ahead for Everton, but the fixtures are
starting
nice
this week at City. Straight back into baptism of fire there.
Yeah, but then there's a good run of fixtures afterwards, which I've highlighted. I think you can definitely look. There's obviously a major gamble already starting on Calvert-Lewin, which I understand his ownership's basically gone up from 2 to 3% since the weekend. Doesn't feel right before City, but then they're so troubling defensively. You do feel that he's locked that place. You know, Suj, and the regular listeners will know, first draft in the summer, he was in it.
After this City fixture as well, they've got Brighton at home, then they come to our place, then Newcastle at home, Watford away, Palace at home. It's a tidy run of 5 games, and then it's a sea of red.
He's now had 5 90 minutes in a row, Calvert-Lewin, scoring 5 times in those fixtures. And going back, looking across the season, there's not many other periods where he's had like back-to-back games of more than like an hour, except for the first 3. He did score in the home fixture against Man City, if that helps people.
In a similar way...
Although he rather stole that goal from Seamus Coleman, if I remember correctly.
In a similar way to Tammy Abraham, he's probably benefiting from just getting minutes. Like Tammy's early career was so stop-start, never getting 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 games consistently in a row. This season he did, and he's come to life. Now Calvert-Lewin's getting it. Hopefully he kicks on as well, because we could do with that talent. And Newcastle now suffering from what so many clubs suffered from in the last third of last season where they're already safe. They're not going down, but they're not going to get into Europe. So they're kind of their season's done, really. They're just going to float somewhere between 14th and 10th for the rest of the season. They'll win a couple, lose a couple, win a couple, lose a couple. Like, their season's done at this point.
I disagree. I don't think they're safe.
You don't? Yeah, I'm probably with you.
How many points clear are they?
Well, they're on 25 points at the moment. That's 7 clear of Villa, who are on 18 points.
Yeah, but Watford are on a roll now, aren't they?
16 points for Watford. That's a win-draw win for Watford. Villa have lost 4 out of their last 5.
Newcastle's next 4 are Leicester at home, Wolves away, Chelsea at home, and then the reverse fixture against Everton at Goodison. Now, it's quite conceivable they're looking at 0 points there. And suddenly they're back in it. Now, if they pick up even probably 4 points in those 4 games, a point per game, then they'll be fine. But if they lose those 4, suddenly you're looking over your shoulder and you're only sort of 2 games clear all of a sudden. And then they do have a very good run of fixtures beyond that, sort of up until the first double game week. But I don't know, do you trust them to win the games that they should? They've been good defensively, particularly at St James's this season, but they're not one I would classify as safe.
Yeah,
I mean,
me neither.
They're above Arsenal, but I think Arsenal will just about be all right.
And Burnley are below them, and you'd think Burnley will be all right. Brighton are below them, you think Brighton will be all right. You'd worry more about Newcastle than you would Burnley, Brighton, Southampton, West Ham, maybe even.
I have no
not
concerns
even West Ham, but
on Brighton, as I've said several times over.
Let's talk about Watford 3, Villa 0. Now, Villa are in big trouble. We'll come back to Villa. But Nigel Pearson's done what a new manager does. New manager bounce. Was that 2 wins and a draw out of the first 4? Plus, in the defeat, it was a good performance against Liverpool. Deeney on the score sheet. Ismail Sarr doing okay as well. Ben Foster. A lot of people looking at Ben Foster as potentially their next goalkeeper to get in.
7 points from the 4 fixtures they've had is very, very good. You know,
Liverpool, United, Sheffield United.
Trip to Bramall Lane in there as well. I know it was a little bit fortunate at times, but they were very unfortunate at Anfield, as you already said.
2 clean sheets as well.
Mrs. is back in love with me.
Okay.
So she wildcarded at the weekend.
Oh, fair play.
Was looking for a cheap defender to fill a place on her bench. And I told her to look at Watford, which you can imagine caused instant arguments. I was like, no, seriously.
She's shot her load early with her new wild card.
No, that's the first one. It was the deadline, wasn't it? You can now use your second wild card as well if you're in a bad place.
Fair play.
So I said, you've got to use it, babes. Even if you just make 3 or 4 transfers.
Did she know that she still had her wild card, or did you have to point it out?
No, she did know.
Okay, fair play.
But I did have to say, sit down and do this, or you're not going to do it.
Fine.
I think I saw a stat, there was about 90 people in the top 1,000 or something hadn't activated their first wild card.
Wow.
I don't know if they're dead or...
Nah.
Can't be. Surely not in the top 1,000.
Dead teams, just to clarify, as opposed to the managers are dead. We hope none of them are dead.
I think the listeners know. Anyway, I convinced her to go for Craig Cathcart.
Double
4.3.
Double bonus.
I obviously sat on her bench and obviously came off it with all the rotation for a nice little 8-pointer. So, yeah, we're talking to each other again now. She's well happy. He's one you can look at. He's the safest one. He's yellow flagged at the moment, Craig Cathcart. He did go off very late in the game with a knock, so don't dive in on it. But I think he's one you can look at. I think Ismail Sarr actually is really interesting at 6.2. Really stepped up. The fixtures are, let's say, yo-yo-ish, but they're in form. They're in form, Watford. And I think if I had to go and get one, I'd go for Sarr. There's probably a little bit of regret in me. Not that I should have gone for him for like a Zaha or Grealish this week. That would have been a bit strange. But it was massively highlighting that problem I'd seen in the Villa-Norwich game about their left side. And that's about to get worse for Villa with Neil Taylor likely to play now Matt Targett's underwhelmed the last few weeks, particularly defensively. But he picked up an injury. Obviously, he was down for the second goal, wasn't he? Hamstring injury. So we think Taylor at left back. Taylor is proper shoddy. Adam Hopcroft, who our Villa correspondent, who I said last week had said tide was turning, is now in full on. He needs to go. But he makes a really good case, Adam. Because what he said is, in the last few weeks, they've basically played the 3 teams that were below them at the start of the run: Southampton, Norwich, and Watford, and they've been outplayed by all 3 of them. Now that's a concern. Yes, they beat Norwich, but they were very, very fortunate. Southampton pissed all over them at Villa Park, and Watford had done the same here. Don't forget, Watford went down to 10 men at 1-0. Villa did nothing after the red card. Bit of territorial advantage and possession, as you would expect, but didn't overly threat. Upcoming games: Burnley away. That's the sort of game I want when I'm in trouble, isn't it? Man City at home. Brighton away. I think at the moment they're so open what Brighton will do between the lines to them. And then the return against Watford again. Massive period for Villa.
I think, you know what, you cut them not a little bit of slack, but losing Tyrone Mings, I think, has been massive to them. Yeah. In a very similar vein to how we lost Fabianski. When someone that influential at the back, when you lose them, it has a psychological impact on the rest of the players around. And he has been immense to get into the England squad and be that rock for them. I think it's had a massive, massive impact. And he's orange flagged right now, so it's not even like he's coming back in the next couple of game weeks. We don't know when he's due to be fit with that hamstring injury. So yeah, they could find themselves deep down and in trouble and not able to escape before you even know it.
One alternative to Taylor at left back is they could play Gilbert out of position on the left hand side. The unfortunate thing is with Burnley, we talk about targeting them on that their left back position. What do? You go Jeff Hendrick? Like, you're not. Goodmanson's fit. That could be the monster punt of this game week. Is Berg Goodmanson, who didn't play against United, but him off the right could be some damage. But you'd think more the following week, Riyad Mahrez, if he's picked,
could do some Villa damage. Park.
Yeah, particularly if, like, I do think Mings will make a massive difference.
But we don't know when he's going to be back.
It didn't help at the weekend. I'd highlighted there was a weakness down that side for them, and they changed the system again and played Grealish more inside left, just leaving the left back exposed. So it didn't help when they played one right in front in the Norwich fixture. It's possibly something I've overemphasised because of Max Aaron's impact. Max Aaron's didn't have that impact for Norwich against Spurs at the weekend, in spite of Spurs' defensive troubles. So I think it's just a real big week. There's loads of weak spots in that Villa team, to be fair, but particularly that side. It's a shame that there isn't someone to immediately target from Burnley.
Talk to me about Norwich 2, Spurs 2. You watched the game. I did not, because I was at my game.
I watched it. I nearly picked up the TV and threw it out the house at half time. I decided to go home.
Is Christian Eriksen a must pick? Oh dear. Is he better value at 8.6 than Dele Alli?
He ain't better value than Aaron Moy at 4.8, mate. Let's forget that stuff.
Is that how cheap Aaron Moy is? I've never even.
Yeah, he's 4.8. Yeah,
that's value.
Of course he is. He's
value.
He's a great sort of, if you're bored shitless, go from Cantwell to Moy, right?
Everybody's sitting on Serge Aurier at the weekend. Is obviously upset about the own goal and the negative points from him. But
you know, Aurier's going to have the madness moments. So he's a little unfortunate with the goal. Yeah. It was a car crash. It was the only time Norwich got in our second half. Norwich didn't have a shot in the second half. They still scored. It had to take some doing.
Would you say they were they the better team overall, or was a draw a fair result?
I think we had so much domination of the game in the second half that we probably just about deserved the point. Norwich didn't deserve to lose.
They played well, right?
Norwich should have had the game finished at half time. Not to the extent like against Wolves where they had unbelievable chances, should have been sort of free up or so. It wasn't quite like that. The Spurs had chances first half as well with Ali and Kane and that as well. My God, we were bad first half.
What's going on
I
here?
had like my nails in my mouth, not even biting my nails, but like wanting to bite my fingers off, watching every direct ball. It's so painful, man.
What's gone wrong?
What's gone wrong?
Yeah.
Oh, we haven't got time, mate.
Really? So
we haven't got time.
We need to do a Tottenham, which we'll do at the end of this week, because who's your game? You on?
We got Southampton away New Year's Day.
Away, and I'm at home to Bournemouth, and we'll have the new manager bounce then.
From the FPL
but I'm
perspective,
getting a lot of. The interesting thing is, I obviously read what you put out on Twitter during and after the game, so I get a good vibe for what's happened in terms of a performance.
You're getting many good vibes off me.
No, I feel like I understand reasonably well what's going on at Spurs. Not just from I've been getting grief for the last 24 hours from Tottenham fans about the appointment of David Moyes and all of that stuff. I'm like, my point is ultimately, like, worry about the roses in your own garden before looking over the fence at ours, because from what I can see from you, yeah, we're in a bad situation, but it's not exactly all rosy in the Tottenham garden now at all.
I was just passing comment on my opinion on Moyes.
Yeah, I'm not saying you specifically, because your comment is actually what your opinion on David Moyes is a logical, thought out opinion, as opposed to you've got David Moyes, which is what I'm getting from most Spurs fans.
Listen, let me be very clear on one thing just to jump in. Yeah. I don't want you to get relegated. I really, really don't. And I'm now worried that you will. Spurs, the only things you need to know FPL-wise is 3 at the back, and this was real 3 at the back with Sessegnon and Aurier at wing-backs. That didn't work. Got completely overrun in midfield, which is no surprise. I feel a little bit that Jose disrespected Norwich with his team lineup. And the reason I say that is, obviously, you're going from Sissoko and Winks against Brighton. They both get suspended, so they're going to miss against. Fair enough. So you automatically feel like Dyer's going to come into the team. Now, Dyer's been shite, right? No arguments about it. Distribution on the ball, not good enough. Bit more protection defensively. They do have energetic runners in that midfield area. So you think of the Norwich first goal. But I don't think that happens if Eric Dyer's on the pitch. We just opened like a part in sea, mate. It was ridiculous. He's gone from a Winks, Sissoko or Dyer partnership to suddenly now he wants to play Ndombele in there with Ericsson and Lo Celso. He's left the fella out to dry, mate. And Ndombele, second half wise, yeah, great on the ball. It was brilliant that he played 90 minutes, and the reason he was able to do so was because Norwich got so deep, and we had 75, 76% of the ball second half. So all the flashy skills and all that looks good. It was a good fixture for him. But it would have been better if he played him with Dyer.
Okay.
And let him go. Let him go and do his thing. So, I mean, there were so many instances of us getting countered in the first half. It was disastrous. And I feel like he's throwing shit at the wall in the same way Pochettino used to. All he does, Mourinho, when we go behind, he throws as many attacking players on the pitch as he can. Like he'll play Ericsson, centre midfield, that kind of thing. Yeah. It's no different. I've worked out what he is. He is a manager that minimalises risk. I think that's why he plays direct football. We ain't got players to play with the pace in behind without Son. So what are you looking for? And all right, yeah, there was that one where Kane got in behind, but I just think because Norwich is so bad defensively, it's not going to happen. You know, we never got in behind Brighton at any stage with proper good centre. You wouldn't call the Duffys and the Webbs and all these particularly quick. They just position themselves better. The pass from Winks into the disallowed goal for Kane against Brighton, it's a pass, isn't it? Yep. It's not a long ball. That's a pass with a bit of, not swaz on it, a bit of curve in behind. It's so bad watching us at the moment. So bad. I think I'm captain Harry Kane again.
Southampton away is going to be a tough game, yeah?
I'm toss a coin at the moment, Vardy or Kane.
Southampton,
I'm really not sure. I need to think
Southampton away is a tough game. I saw, I think it was on Lee and Sam's stream yesterday from FPL Family. Someone jumped in on their chat and was saying that they were going to triple captain Jamie Vardy this week because he just had a full rest and he just had a baby, so he's going to be all rested and well. It's like, that's coming from someone who's never had a baby.
Yeah, definitely.
He's not rested at all. But I'm sure he's got...
There's a serious shout on Vardy. I mean, I think... If he plays on Wednesday, yeah, he's a great captaincy shout. And there's no reason why he shouldn't play. You saw Troy Deeney speaking at the weekend saying he'd had his baby on Christmas Eve or something, then drove up to Sheffield on Christmas Day and that. There's no reason Vardy shouldn't play against Newcastle. We knew he'd get rested this week, with or without baby.
Exactly.
We knew he wasn't going to play this week.
I think a lot of people just thought they might see him on the bench. And maybe
I think, yeah, if baby wasn't around,
so.
You'd probably been looking at, like an 8-pointer from what he would have done in the last 20 minutes or so.
Let's talk about Leicester, shall we? West Ham, Leicester.
Talk about Leicester first. It's impressive, isn't it?
Very impressive. Mainly because what you couldn't tell that they had changed 9 players.
Is that because of you, though?
Well, we were bad, very bad. But the thing with Leicester is that what I liked about it was the system was the system. And whether it was Damari Gray or Harvey Barnes, you're going to get the same. All Brighton played well as well. Iheanacho was a constant threat.
What's the system the same? They've been a little bit more insurance with
they're
with
two
Mendy,
in the middle,
Mendy and Chowdhury,
as opposed to maybe just Ndidi. So yeah, maybe they didn't have that Maddison type player who did come on for I think maybe 20 minutes or something like that, and suddenly you're shitting yourself as soon as he came on. I was like, oh, here we go again. But they were good, and they do things that like keeping 3 up at corners, which no other team has done coming to the London Stadium so far this season. Two wide and one right in the middle.
Used to do that at Liverpool sometimes as well.
And it's complete disrespect or disdain or whatever you want to call it. He's basically saying, you know what, fuck you, you're rubbish, and I'm going to keep 3 up at corners, and try have a go if you want from this corner, and if you score, you score. If you don't, you better watch out. And I like it. As much as it's disrespectful, I like it because it's aggressive and it's saying we will score more than you and we are better than you. And even psychologically, like you as a defending team, you're like, okay, now we've got to keep 3 defenders back or 4 defenders back here. It messes with your mind. The whole day just turned on its head within the first 5 or 10 minutes of that match, because you build up to 5:30 kickoff. People have been in the pub having a few beers. Pre-match, the team comes out. You say, okay, Leicester have made a lot of changes here, and we've made a couple, but attacking 3 behind Haller of Anderson.
I don't think your team necessarily looked weaker,
Carlos Sanchez and
midfield. Yeah. Well, Cresswell was suspended anyway, wasn't he? So, although Masuaku, I think, would have played in any case.
Maybe, yeah. So you're thinking, right, if the boys are up for it and they're willing to put a shift in today, we got a chance, a hell of a lot more of a chance than we had against Leicester's first team. I had said on this show and on Tottenham or whatever last week that I wasn't going to call for Pellegrini's head because I didn't think he was going to get fired until I'd seen 4 or 5 games with Flappy back. And Flappy did come back, conceded a penalty, which I don't think it wasn't malicious and he couldn't have done anything about it.
It's a penalty, end of story.
It was a penalty, but it also wasn't like the worst foul.
No. Just he's coming out. It's impact.
Yeah. But he saved the penalty, and he made a couple of other good saves as well. It was like, oh, thank God we've got a keeper again. But the passing was atrocious. And unless you were there in the ground, because you're never going to see that stuff on any highlights reel. Like if they made a bloopers reel, that would be more worthy of the West Ham performance.
I tell you what, Spurs' first half wasn't too different, mate.
But you're like, when you see them like back passes from the centre of our own half going all the way back to Fabi through a sea of players, you're like, you can't go through a sea of players passing back to the keeper. You're opening up yourself up all the time. Diop came back after a few games out, was bad. And the all-round performance was poor. It's the basics of football. And with that, he had to go. And they made the decision and he's gone. Simple as that. I don't think that there's necessarily an issue with the talent here. I think it's the coaching of the talent. Get the right manager with the right players, because that's why some managers work at some clubs and not others, right? It's a blend of things. It's not always just the manager or the players. It's the manager and the players and the club and the structure and everything that goes with it. So I think, look, we've got Moyes back. He's done a job historically. Let's see what happens moving on. You can't look at anyone from West Ham other than Antonio if you're rolling around in excess cash, because when he came on again, it was just the energy. Like he made one run from the edge of the centre circle to the penalty area, and I was like, Haller doesn't sprint or run like that, but this guy's busting his lungs. And then my brother and I ended up in an argument about why it's not fair to compare Antonio and Haller as 2 completely different style of player. I'm not comparing their styles of play. I'm just saying one's running and the other's standing still. I just wanted players that run. So David Moyes is in. Keep an eye on it, I think, for now.
He'll favour Antonio, won't he?
I hope so.
I think he will.
And we'll see what happens. You said that you thought it was a short-term move and it could end up unsuccessful.
When Gary Neville was speaking so well after the Spurs-Chelsea game about the problem of racism in football, and David Jones got the message in his ear saying these are not necessarily the views from Sky Sports.
Yeah,
I'd like to jump in now and say your views are not necessarily the views of all West Ham fans, because most of them are not happy this morning.
No, I can understand that, but do you know what? A little bit of realism as a West Ham fan. Yeah, we're not getting. Look, ask me who I want as manager. If I could pick anyone,
Pochettino.
Jurgen Klopp. I ain't going to get him, am I? Followed by Diego Simeone. I ain't going to get him, am I? Right? Eddie Howe is in a job right now at Bournemouth. A lot of people saying, why would he want to leave Bournemouth to come to West Ham? It's obviously a club with more money and more ambition that he can achieve more with. So there is a reason. But we're not going to get him right now. We've got to be a bit realistic with expectations here.
Why are you not going to get him now? I know this.
It'll be harder to get him right now.
I know we got a
It'll
lot.
Be harder to get
we've got
right
quite
now.
a few Bournemouth listeners, right? And so I apologise for what I'm about to say. If West Ham came up with the serious compensation package and money, I think he would have gone.
Yeah, the board won't do that. Let's be real. The board won't do that. So,
and I'm not saying Eddie Howe would have been the right man necessarily for West Ham. In my opinion, I think he would have been a great choice for you. The comment I made on Twitter last night about the Moyes appointment is you're wasting time.
Well, Moyes could do well. Look, I compare the size of club and the level that we are at right now is not too dissimilar to where Everton was when he went into Everton. And he had a long stint at Everton and he did well at Everton. I probably have Everton tinted glasses on with David Moyes because my best mate at uni, so we're talking 99 to 2003, 4, and the 3 years after that was a toffee. So I went up to Goodison a couple of times, to be fair, and we used to talk all the time about football, and it was in Moyes' heyday. So I'll probably have a bit of a toffee tinted glasses with Moyes there, but I think he'll be all right. The thing with this 18-month contract is bullshit, though, because what they're saying is that we want to give you a contract to the end of the season.
We still don't trust you enough.
But we don't want to seem like we don't trust you, but only giving you to the end of the season. So we'll give you 18 months. And we won't go longer than 18 months because we don't trust you enough. It's like, completely half pregnant where they don't trust him. They don't trust him.
Sorry, how do you get half pregnant?
I have no idea. It's a phrase my mate Raj uses in Dubai. It's like half baked. They don't trust. They don't want to look bad by only giving him 6 months, but they don't want to overcommit by giving him more than 18 months. And so everybody knows that he's a
short-term
nervous.
fix.
I don't think he's a nervous appointment.
You're wasting time.
He's a nervous appointment.
You're wasting time.
I don't agree because say he does well.
Yeah.
Say he does well, they will extend his contract.
Yeah, possibly.
So all they're doing is hedging their bets here more than they are making it a short term. Because I think if you ask the owners of the club, would you rather he did well? Of course, they'd rather he did well. But I think they're just hedging their bets here a little bit by not overcommitting for too long and maybe trying to appease the fans by not doling out a 5-year contract or a 4-year contract with someone who's possibly not that popular. He's not top of everybody's list. But you know what? What choice do we have? We've talked about it on the show. You didn't have a choice. For Mourinho, what are you going to do? Get behind your team in the club. I've not got a choice here. It's not like...
I'm struggling.
I don't pick the tactics. I don't pick the players. I don't pick the manager. I just turn up week in, week out with my wallet in my hand, and that's it. And so I've got to get behind him.
That's
I actually
fine.
think
I think the rest of the supporters need to do the same. That's
agreed.
Fine.
The talent is there. I think the talent is there. It's that chemistry of manager plus players plus right club. And I want to see Moyes successful because I think he's all right. Look at managers like Moyes or even Emery at Arsenal, right? Emery won 3 Europa Leagues. It's not like he doesn't know how to manage a football team. You don't win 3 Europa Leagues by being a blagger.
Like one day Ramos won a couple with Seville as well. Maybe there's a trend.
Well, maybe.
Maybe it's called quality of football of teams around 4th, 5th in Spain. Maybe might just
possibly
outpower teams in a competition like the Europa League. It's possible.
I don't think he doesn't know what he's doing. He's not a complete clueless idiot. Put it that way. I think his Man United record in the first 7-8 months quite often is compared to other
in
managers.
pre-season. I thought he was going to say
but it came. If you look at his win ratio compared to Van Gaal or whoever followed, it wasn't worse by miles. He just wasn't. He's not fashionable. Moyes is not fashionable. That's the problem.
Okay. I think to close, because this could be a long rant on West Ham.
Correct, and we got tons to get through still.
I think the board, which is the biggest problem at West Ham, I think they've forgotten that the whole flagpole incident was when David Moyes was in charge. And I think it's causing the sort of unrest amongst West Ham fans that if the results are not immediate, it will not take long for those sort of protests to begin again. Hopefully, the security at your place has improved somewhat since then to protect some of the footballers that are on the football pitch.
Nah.
I think the only excuse, in my opinion, for appointing David Moyes is that they're looking to sell the club. And so getting someone in that will stabilise the club makes sense. I don't know if there is any intention to sell.
I wouldn't feel like there was.
Sullivan said in his statement last night, he said one of the reasons we want to get David Moyes in is to help the club achieve its ambitions for this season. What were they?
Well, who knows, mate?
So was the ambition in the first place just to stay up? That's what it's been brought in for, isn't it? Is to keep you up. My opinion, listen, we have a lot of banter. I really, really don't want you to get relegated. I would miss playing you twice a season. Even though you play so well against us twice a season, I would miss the games.
You watch the game this season,
I don't
mate.
want you to go down.
Twice.
I think you're in trouble. I think you're in massive, massive trouble. I think if you don't win on Wednesday, then it's very quickly already going to be he's walking into a negative vibe atmosphere. It's not like Everton of Ancelotti's been appointed as a positive atmosphere. We talked about the stuff with AFTV in the Arsenal fixture at Everton, but I think you could see watching Arsenal yesterday that the crowd could buy into what Arteta was trying to do.
Oh yeah, do you know why? It was the level of effort and It was the level of effort.
Wednesday is so big for you.
My expectation is not. I'm all right if we lose on Wednesday because he's had 2 days. Right, he's come into the job yesterday. He's got today and tomorrow.
It's not his fault if you lose Wednesday.
No, but I do want to see effort. I'm not going to accept no effort from the players, and I'm not going to accept shoddy passing because passing to a player is a given. The attacking stuff of speeding up our play, we'll look at. We'll see.
Following Wednesday, Sheffield United away, Everton at home, Leicester away, Liverpool at home, Brighton at home, Man City away, Liverpool away. And if you want to go further, then it's Southampton, Arsenal, Wolves, Tottenham, Chelsea.
It's that Man City game.
You're in trouble, mate.
It's that Man City game. If we get 9 points between now and Man City, which is 6 games, I'll be fine with that. But we need 9 points between now and Man City. Talk to me when we get to Man City.
The points total for 18th this year is going to be bigger than it normally is.
Quite possibly.
That's why I think teams like Newcastle, who are on a decent points total, are not safe yet.
Let's rattle through the 4 games that we have left. Burnley 0, Manchester United 2.
This was probably the biggest FPL swing moment of the weekend for those who owned Marcus Rashford.
Right at the end.
Like I said,
and straight into maximum bonus points as well.
Like I said, if Burnley equalise and Rashford doesn't score, rather than a 30,000 rise, I might have been looking at like a 300,000 drop, mate. You know.
Yep.
So yes, fine margins. I got lucky on this occasion. Although you could say maybe there was some foresight on getting Victor Lindelof. He's come in, he's done his 2 games, he's now getting binned. Pogba, where was he?
It's again the mystery of all mysteries. You listen to the guys on BT Sport, like, what's happening here? Who knows?
I got to be honest, I didn't watch the game in as much detail as I normally would because I was still so vexed with Spurs. But I was very surprised when I saw Paul Pogba wasn't even in the squad. I don't know what happened there. There was a gamble on him, mate.
Yeah, a few people did go in on him. I think it was way too early.
Including our differential team.
Well, look, you'd rather he was completely left out than came on for a 1-pointer.
No, not this week. We'd have had the 1-pointer, particularly at differential team. We end up with 9 players, I think. So, yeah, we could have done with that 1 point.
Martial's doing okay now. He's gone up a couple of pips in the last few weeks to 7.9 now. Back and playing, returning as he has. 79 points for the season so far is not so bad. Anyone from United piquing your interest or not really?
No, Martial I am interested in as a non-owner, but I don't feel I want to double it up with Rashford at the moment. No. And I'm sure there's lots who've got Martial who've got no interest in Rashford at the moment, and that makes complete sense. The tempter is it's Arsenal away and then Norwich at home, but I'm not so keen on what follows. But they might be in a little spell, a little bit like Everton. I do feel Newcastle and Burnley were nice Christmas fixtures for them. Let's see how they get on at Arsenal on Wednesday. It's the sort of game where if they sit in, it should work for them. It should.
Burnley, too good, too bad. Is it going to be like this for the rest of the season?
Yeah, I just can't see any interest in their assets.
Nah, me neither.
Unfortunately.
They'll be fine, I think, over the course of the season, but they're about to go on a very difficult run.
They are.
After Villa at home, Chelsea, Leicester, United, Arsenal, then Southampton, and then Bournemouth, who would be fighting for their lives.
Do you know who that run that Burnley have got that you've mentioned, game week 22 to 25, you know who that's bad news for?
West Ham.
No, it's bad news for Villa. Because they've got Villa before that bad run. And you think Sean Dyche ain't identified that they've got to beat Villa in the week.
Yeah, no doubt. I was going to put...
I don't think, by the way, that Dean Smith will make it to game week 22.
Interesting. I was going to put a tweet out on Saturday and I didn't because I was a bit disheartened, but I was going to congratulate Burnley on being the last remaining claret and blue club that's going to be in the Premier League this year. Then they announced Pellegrini was getting sacked and I said, let's just hold tight a little bit here. But the others in claret and blue are waving bye-bye. Arsenal 1, Chelsea 2. Arsenal should have won this game.
Should they?
I don't know. They played better than Chelsea over the course of the game.
Should we debate refereeing decisions that weren't affected by VAR? Jorginho absolutely should have been sent off. But guess what? He didn't, and life goes on.
But then VAR's job is to step in when things like that happen.
No, they can't because it's only a yellow card incident.
Because the card had already been issued.
No, VAR won't rule on a yellow card.
They'll only rule on straight reds.
Even if it's a second yellow card, yeah, they won't get involved.
Yeah, so at that point, this is
just the sort of thing that highlights VAR more because the impact on a football match of the fact that Jorginho should have had a yellow card is worth them getting involved and saying, no, look, he really did pull him back. Arsenal were on a 4-4 situation. There is no excuse for the referee not to book Jorginho in that moment. None. And they got away with it, and obviously comes on and scored. However, that doesn't accept what Leno did. And Leno's been one of Arsenal's best players this season, by the way. He's actually had a good season.
A good year, all in all, 2019. He's stepping up now as their regular decent keeper.
He's a decent shot stopper, but still liable to the odd car crash moment. He's one of the better goalkeepers.
But he's still young.
Yeah,
leave him be.
I go with that.
Yeah.
Thing is, you watch the first half hour, and I'd say it's probably the best Arsenal played since the last played Chelsea at Arsenal. And that's what I was thinking watching the game. I was thinking, they're going to get absolutely lauded here if they carry on with this and win. And had they been tighter defensively, they probably would have gone on to deserve the thing. But actually, I'd seen this performance from Arsenal before. It was very different to the diamond system that Emery had set up against Chelsea. It was early January or late December last season. And they were all over Chelsea. And they did this again here. Yeah, people like, Ozil was working. And he looked good when he got the ball. Aubameyang defensively worked so hard. But it's Lampard that deserves the credit here for identifying and not waiting to get to half-time. If it had waited to half-time, it might have been 2-0 down.
I think he's done that a couple of times this season. And he is a manager that makes changes when he sees things aren't working. I didn't know whether Emerson had picked up an injury, but it was tactically, he switched it around. Yeah.
I thought taking Emerson off was probably a mistake because it left them imbalanced. And then obviously has Pelaquet on the left and Tomori at right back until he brought the young kid on, Lapti. I don't know if he's got an FPL price yet, by the way. It was imbalanced in terms of they couldn't offer anything offensively, but then defensively it was better. That four playing against Arsenal's attacking four because Guendouzi and Torreira did sit a little bit deeper in protection. And I think that's one of the things Arsenal fans have been looking for. Two central midfielders who would offer a limited back four some help. Arsenal weren't helped by Mustafi having to come on in the game either. But actually, if you'd taken out the first half hour and looked at the final hour of the game, you would have said Chelsea well deserved to win. Now, I don't think that's the case. I think Arsenal's performance in the first half was so good that there's no way they deserved to lose that football match. But eventually, Chelsea's little bit of extra quality and I think domination in midfield areas told. I think on a different day, Leno doesn't make the mistake and they get home 1-0. They were out on their feet, Arsenal. Arteta was very honest after the game and he said, fitness-wise, they're not at the level of others. And I think that's fair. You can see what he's trying to do. That's what I said. Arsenal fans will invest in... I didn't watch any AFTV last night, but I think the majority of the fans will invest in, okay, I see what he's going to try and do there. That will take a serious amount of time to implicate and get right. The sad thing, I guess, for Arsenal is, had they won, they would have only been 5 points behind Chelsea. Now it's 11. They lost a game in the last 10 minutes. I couldn't even enjoy it. That's a shame.
I think from an Arsenal point of view, Aubameyang is interesting. 10.8 million. Their fixtures are good for a prolonged period. They've got a couple of difficult ones in between, but generally they've got a good run of fixtures. And 10.8 for Aubameyang, 13 goals this season already. He's picked up 23 bonus points so far.
It will be the old debate, doesn't it? Does it interest if he's going to play off the left?
It doesn't seem to affect his returns, though, when he does. I don't think it necessarily does.
No, I'm in agreement. As long as it's on the left.
20 games and 23 bonus points. I mean, how many other players are averaging a bonus point every week?
No, and he's clearly, if you're going to look at Arsenal, he's clearly, if you're thinking, yeah, okay, there might be a bounce here, then, yeah, of course he's the one to look at. I'm not saying go for him for FPL, and he's only 5.3. I thought Reece Nelson is a young kid I've had my eye on for a long time. He's got loads of talent. I thought he was great. I thought he was really good. He gave them real troubles. I think that's part why Emerson came off, because Nelson was such a threat to him. They just run out of legs eventually, Arsenal. They probably went a bit too, sounds ridiculous, too hard too soon.
Yeah.
Ran
a little bit out of steam.
But I think they tried to blow Chelsea away early, and they very nearly did it. So, yeah, no massive discredit on Arsenal here. It just eventually, I think legs caught up with them. You could see how hard people like Lacazette and Aubameyang were blowing at the end.
Yeah.
Ozil, after a great 45 minutes, disappeared, really.
Liverpool 1, Wolves 0. First half, I watched the first half of this. Very controlled from Liverpool. They penned Wolves back. You expect that because Wolves did make changes. I thought Wolves' strategy was going to be, let's soak it up, and then maybe bring on a couple of players for the last half an hour to stretch Liverpool a little bit more. But they got the goal. You know what? If it had gone 1-0 to Wolves, I don't know what would happen in the game. It could have ended up a little bit different. But, yeah, it's a machine here, isn't it?
They're great, aren't they?
Mane's back to 12.3.
Both these two teams. Liverpool were nowhere near at their best yesterday. Nowhere near, but done the job. And I think there'll be more games like this for Liverpool in the second half of the season. Tight, narrow wins. I've said this a few times. The closer they get, I think the more narrow games will be. And that's why the treble up defensively, at least a double up, is a certainty for me. Obviously, I've already said I'm going to add Robertson to Alexander-Arnold this week. But the treble up Van Dijk really tempts me. The issue with
4 clean sheets in a row.
The issue with that is, once I get to game week 24, I really do want to be captaining like Mane or Salah regularly, depending on which way you want to play it. Because the fixtures, once you hit double game week 24, to be honest, it's Liverpool. The double game week 24 could be anyone. You can go and captain their players. And then Southampton, Norwich, West Ham, Watford, Bournemouth. I mean, there's a period there where I think so many of us be captain Liverpool players, and as Vardy walks into a more difficult run of fixtures as well. And that's why I think I'll have to go Mane or Salah.
There's only one caveat to that. 20 points clear in the league, still in the Champions League. Yeah. There won't be as much for them to necessarily play for. But the season that Man City went on to clock the 100 points, if I'd like to see Liverpool set themselves that target of 100 points and becoming centurions, because then they will have that ruthlessness to want to keep
the only target
away.
for Liverpool is to win this league by any means.
I understand that, but if
you told a Liverpool fan now you will win this league by a point, I mean, they're going to be using a lot of toilet roll between now and May, but they would take it.
I agree, but we've already said it's done.
Oh yeah, no, it's finished. Yeah.
So at that point, push for that century, like to win it back after all those years with 100 points.
The only way they won't win this league is if they act like it is finished.
Yeah, true.
I don't think rotation will be a problem for Liverpool until April. They play their first game in April is Man City.
Right.
And then you're into the final 6 game weeks of the season. I don't think rotation is going to be an issue until then.
No.
They might even be out of the Champions League, in which case it's never an issue.
City 2, Sheffield United 0. Final kind of game to wrap up for this game week.
No John Lundstrom.
Yeah, just it is what it is. Move on. There's no point worrying about it. If anybody expected their starting 11 to be the 11 that ended up in their FPL team at the end of the weekend, you need your head checking.
They were great again, Sheffield United. Great again. I think Guardiola said some nice things about them after the game. I don't think you can look at them offensively. I mean, it's a difficult run of fixtures, so I don't think you're buying now. Is there any case to sell John Lundstrom? Any case? And not because he didn't play this week, but just because of the upcoming fixtures.
So I can give you my opinion on that because I have thought about it. Is that if I sell Lundstrom, I could get O'Connell or Baldock, whoever, for a little bit cheaper because of the amount of money I've made. But when I look at it, I'm not comparing like for like. I'm saying, right, that defender is cheaper than that attacking midfielder who is classified as a defender. So, no, really, like I don't see how you can. Because of the way he's classified as an OOP, every time I look at someone who's a little bit cheaper who's playing, they are a defender and they've got no way near the attacking threat or returns that a Lundstrom has. And he will score another 4 or 5 goals between now and the end of the season. Most of us, well, I've only since game week 1, I've got too much value tied up in him as well that I wouldn't sell him. Just wouldn't sell him. So the answer is no.
Yeah, I mean, certainly if you bought a 4.0, like there's no excuse for selling him at basically till the rest of the season, unless right at the end you want to smash in double game week players if he hasn't got one.
5.2 now.
Yeah, and probably on the slide a little bit. So if you've bought at a high even value like 4.8 or 5.0, or even I've debated it from 4.6, there is a little bit of a temptation. So
Can I jump in on what you just said there? A little bit of a slide, right? Last week was the first week that his net transfers ownership went down all season.
Yes.
He was on 3.6 million owners.
Yeah.
How many did it go down by?
Oh, about 20,000 or something.
34,000. Yeah. So the slide is like 0.01%.
No, all I mean is, the thing is, and remember this, again, longer listeners remember this, about this time last year, I said Doherty's price had hit its peak at the same 5.2.
Yeah.
And it still kept going. John Lundstrom's may yet still keep going because he's going to stay.
48.8%. It's not like stupid yet. Still get up to 60s.
I mean, he's got to be in nearly every live team, isn't he? We know that there's teams out there that don't have him. All I meant from my point of view is, if I want to go treble Liverpool defensive, for example, am I then going with him as definitely as a back four?
Well, for me,
and obviously it's fixture dependent. I don't intend to start Lundstrom away to Liverpool. I'm going to go with Martin Kelly.
Yeah, that was my point. He's rotatable with Kelly and Rico and all of these guys.
Yeah, it's another reason for me to go towards Mane or Salah, I think.
Sergio Aguero is back.
Sergio Aguero is back. I'm not interested in Aguero personally, unfortunately. It's just too much on the rotation with Jesus. Don't forget with City, like I said, they've got that League Cup semi-final against United. They're not going to want to lose it. And
when Aubameyang and Kane are the best part of $1 million cheaper.
He ain't going to be picking the team against Man United that he picked against Burton in those semi-finals last year. The one I would say is, if Moyes gets a little bit of rest, particularly in that United fixture, which is obviously the first leg is after the FA Cup this weekend, really do look at Mahrez before Villa. Could be, even if it is a 1 week punt, if you're happy with what you've got, really, really look at it. I think for those, there's a little bit of talk in the community at the moment about wildcarding following this game week for those who want to go early because of the time, sort of 10 days thinking time, etc. Look at rest. Look, you probably come back to everybody going full strength on the other side of the cup games. I would get Mahrez in on that wild card, but with the view to potentially come straight back off again.
Yep.
Just because City going forward is going to frustrate. The reliability is the man on 139 FPL points, Kevin De Bruyne. What a player.
immense machine. Back to his best at the moment. You cannot deny that.
Can you blind captain him? Every week. We're serious now.
So I've been looking at, climbing up the ranks at this point of the season gets harder and harder. So when you want to be in the top 100K, it helps to start in the top 100K, right? One of our friends, Sam, at FPL Family, had a great start to the season. If you're looking at the first 6, 7, 8 game weeks, she stormed straight into the top, whatever. I think she's 7,000 now, maybe, which is incredible rank. Blind captain KDB
when I met Sam and Lee at Spurs the other day, I didn't really want to discuss ranks.
Yeah.
I wasn't going to come out of the conversation well.
No, but she blind captained KDB in the early part of the season when he was tearing it up with double point returns week in, week out, and no doubt, I mean, that's not luck. That's. I'm not saying that's luck. I'm saying that's what she did, and that's what happened. So, in answer to your question, can you blind captain KDB? Yes, because it's proven to be successful from a manager who's sitting that high in the league.
He is capable at any time of getting the sort of point haul he got at the weekend. All it takes, 1 goal, 1 assist, he's hitting 14 points there.
Yep.
He's capable of it at any time in any game. He's now on 30 more FPL points than Raheem Sterling. 7 more than Sadio Mane.
Wow.
Twitter cues?
We've got a few. I'm just looking here at Sam's team. Game week 4, 5, 6. She blind captain KDB. Game week 4, 26 points. And game week 5 was a 6-pointer, and then 34 points in game week 6. Between those 2 game weeks is 60 points.
I wonder how many people had the De Bruyne vice captain double.
Yeah.
From the Watford fixture and this weekend.
Yeah.
Well done if you did.
Yeah.
It's jammy, but well done.
Well,
that's why you set your vice captain on someone like that. I
reliable,
think.
exactly. Yeah. So can you blind captain KDB? Yes.
And he, unlike the others, I think in the City squad, he's so integral to them at the moment that I can't see them going without. Just a quick note on City. Obviously, Garcia played. He obviously came on at Wolves, made a start at the weekend. 4.5 defender. I suggest the answer to the question you might be thinking is no. Same goes for Otamendi. No. Same goes for Stones. No. Wouldn't even consider them until Laporte is fit. He is back training, but probably unlikely to play this side of February, is my understanding.
Do you think you'd buy him back, Laporte? I wonder what his price has dropped down to now.
No, because I think if they're still far enough away in the league, he's so crucial that he has to play for them in the Champions League. So
he's 6.3 million. He's still quite expensive. He started the season at 6.5, right? So he's still very expensive.
At some point, City, they'll have a run of 4 or 5 games in a row with clean sheets. At some point. I know someone else who's done that very recently as well.
That would be Liverpool. I wanted to tally up my points from Robbo and Trent in the last 4 game weeks and just drop it because it must be close to about 70 odd points, but I didn't figure it out. Let's rattle through a few Twitter questions. That's an hour and 20 talking about the games. That is long. We try and keep it to an hour. But I suppose VAR and David Moyes are taking over.
We ain't doing another pod till Friday.
We are not. But we are at work now. I've got a meeting in half an hour. Exciting times. Interesting ones here. Let's look at the most interesting ones. Jarvo at Ajarv19. Jarvo, I hope you're well. West Ham, David Moyes, Dream Team reunited. Yes.
God, didn't we do enough on West Ham?
Ronan Mehigan, is TAA a viable Game Week 21 captain?
21, not 24.
No, 21. Now, they've got Sheffield United at home.
No.
I don't think so either. I think Sheffield United are going to give Liverpool probably the most trouble they've had at home for a long time.
He is Game Week 24 if you don't go with Mane or Salah.
Yeah.
Of the defensive guard, that side favour. However, as I said last week, you got Vardy at home to West Ham, Kane's son at home to Norwich, or Dele Alli at home to Norwich. At Rashford, Martial, and Burnley. There are single game week options in that week as well, which you need to consider when you're breaking your team up. If you're breaking your team up.
Yep. Is now a good time? This is Jamie Dodd at JD Suker, as in Davor Suker. spelling. Must be his favourite player. Is now a good time to return to Flappy. 4.9 million will face plenty of shots and could be a good replacement for Pope, and has double game week 24 coming. Yes. Played well, solid on the weekend.
In spite of everything I've said about West Ham, yes, he's a good shout. I think there were two others from West Ham you can consider in the build-up to 24. Antonio is obvious. 4 nows, 6 million, 4 attack returns in 6, Suj. Any faults?
He has been getting better and better. He's had the aura in the last few weeks of someone who's adjusting a little bit better to the Premier League, and is actually putting a shift in. I think he's learned and seen from the player like Snodgrass and Rice that you've got this is a tough league coming from the Spanish league. For young players, he's only 21. It's hard to adjust to the Premier League, but he's been better in the last few games. I mean, you can't really just when the likes of Traore are there at 5.5 million, I wouldn't recommend Fornals over Traore or anything like that. No. So ultimately, sadly,
not even in an easy double game week against Leicester and Liverpool.
Easy double game week, easy. There's only 2 players at the moment. There's Fabianski and Antonio. Forget the rest, in my opinion.
Yeah, I've got my eye on what Moyes is going to do with Antonio. I think Fabianski's, I would say, fine, particularly for those on Nick Pope. I think for those like myself who've gone for, say, Ramsdale, people like Ben Foster might be getting a bit of traction now. I'd probably say no. Pope to Fabianski's an interesting potential move.
Quite a lot of Liverpool questions here, but I think we've covered so many of them. People talking about, is Mane enough Liverpool coverage? No, because just Trent's 24-pointer last week is enough of that. But another 8-pointer ticking along with 2 bonus points with just a clean sheet and no attacking returns. You have to have one of their defenders.
Yeah.
You have to have at least one of their defenders, in my opinion.
I think you have to have 2. But then I have thought that all season. And now I'm going back to it. It'll go tits up again. Yeah.
Stay off him if you don't mind. If you were to triple captain a Liverpool player in game week 24, who would it be?
My preference would be Mane.
Mine too. It's got to be Mane or Salah, followed by Trent, followed by Robbo, followed by VVD.
I sold Mane on the wild card. I'm not round enough to think that I haven't made a mistake. I have. And I'm not thinking, I've come off now, I must go to Salah. My preference is on Mane. I think it's particularly in away games as well. It's my preference. It's been a long-held belief of mine for months now that Mane will outscore Salah.
Yeah.
As an overall as well. Don't forget, walk out of the double game week 24. They have more fixtures. You're going to want to captain these guys in. And Mane, fitness-wise as well, is way up on Salah.
Yeah. FPL _Delboy. Aston Villa are the new whipping boys with no new manager bounce currently incoming. Man City have them in game week 21. Is Aguero worth a shout for that? Thing is, if you've got coverage already with KDB or Raheem Sterling, then I wouldn't push for a third.
If Jesus plays in the fixture against United in the League Cup in the week, yeah, probably. The problem is, while those two are both fit, you don't really know from week to week. And then you're playing with yourself with that captaincy problem when there are reliable choices elsewhere, like Jamie Vardy for January is very reliable. You can even argue in certain fixtures, Martial, Rashford, the Liverpool guys, obviously. Kevin De Bruyne, obviously. So, no. And as I said, I think to target Villa, if Dean Smith is still in charge, the game week one, that game week punt I'd go for is Mahrez.
A couple more questions before we wrap up the pod, because they're all grouped into kind of categories here quite neatly. The next one is Watford. Watford worth considering because of 3 good performances in a row. That's FPL Trojan, FPL Lister. Watford are looking like they might have something about them now. Which players are catching your eye? Rank your 3 best Watford picks in order of 1, 2, 3.
Good question. Sarr. I'd go first, 6.2. I think that's properly a gamble. as it should be at his sort of ownership. What's his ownership at the moment? 0.5%. Defensively, I'd say Cathcart at 4.3.
Can I just step in? I think it's a financial gamble because he's so expensive. I don't think it's necessarily an FPL gamble. He'll get returns. You look at his heat map and stuff.
But you've also got people who've got ownership, like myself, in sort of Zaha Grealish at that price point. Like I'm going to go Traore over Sarr. I'm not saying, if you ask me to rank these guys, I would go Sarr, Cathcart if fit, and then Deeney just over Delafeu.
Yeah, Deeney. I would agree with you on
Deeney
the
does
three.
like playing against Villa, though.
Yeah.
It's on the pens and that as well, hasn't he? He's had a couple. I think
he's got a good relationship with Pearson as well. They're both cut from the same cloth.
From an FPL perspective, you would prefer Delafeu playing through the middle rather than out wide, and he's back on the left now. And obviously he's classified as a forward. That's Sarr. If you really want that as a punt, I don't mind it. Wolves at home, Bournemouth away next. Say that though, if I was going to say Kelly or Rico was to get injured and I need that cover there.
Yep.
And like me personally, I'd probably be going Cathcart before Sarr. Again, just make sure he's fit first. So actually, it's probably Cathcart, then Sarr, then Deeney. Next question.
The last question is about our friend Tammy Abraham, who so many were due to want to come off before the Arsenal game.
Unless you're the official FPL account trolling.
They were winding plenty of people up this weekend.
They're right on a troll. And the thing is,
it's
all good when you've got the player.
Yeah.
It's a bullshit when you haven't, mate.
So originally, a few of these questions are all focused around where do we go from Tammy Abraham, and now it's a case of do you sell Tammy Abraham or keep him? What, sell or keep? So many people have built up value in him. That's the thing, mate.
Yes, that has to come into your decision when people are asking that question. We don't really know if you bought at 7.8 or 7 or whatever. I don't have the intention at the moment to go back.
Yep.
But I did very much think about it on the wild card. Essentially, my last final real decision was Kane or Abraham. And then was I spreading from there? I decided to go with Kane. I think if I was going in at Abraham's value now quite madly, I'd be going Wilson over Abraham and Jimenez. Raul Jimenez is going to get you a lot more reliability than Abraham, and he's going to frustrate. You probably never captain Jimenez, and you'd just be happy to keep picking up his returns.
Yep.
Abraham on certain game weeks is going to tempt you, and it's probably going to let you down. But I wouldn't necessarily sell. That would be my take.
Yeah, I don't think now's the time to sell either.
Consider as well the impact of his ownership is still very high at 32% ownership.
Yep. There we go. So this week, who's your captain? You don't know yet. Kane probably, and if not, Vardy.
No, I'm really undecided. Kane, Vardy. Really, really undecided. So if you're asking me which one, my instinct right now is I will probably go with Harry. And he will probably let me down. And it's, by the way, what I would say is it's almost a certainty I will sell him after this fixture. Almost a certainty. Because to highlight what I said previously about captaining him, I look at the fixture, obviously it's Liverpool afterwards, but then looking at that, when I said, would I captain him on the other side? And I look at Spurs at Watford, while I look at KDB at home to Palace, and I look at Vardy at Burnley, no, I wouldn't be captaining Kane at a rejuvenated Watford. And I can't see me captaining him, in spite of that brilliant midweek home fixture against Norwich. I can't see me captaining him in that fixture either, with it being Liverpool's double. And then following that, it's Man City at home. So I'm almost certainly selling, and that's my way into probably Mane for me.
I'll be captaining Tom Heaton this week. No, I most certainly will.
Do you know what?
Not.
I'm going to be honest. I'm sorry to the Villa fans out there, but the goal that made me happiest this week was Watford's first goal. Because obviously I sold Heaton on the wild card. I was like, no way is this guy going to be getting back-to-back clean sheets. Surely not.
Could have killed you. And Jamie Vardy for me, with Kevin De Bruyne on vice, stick to tried and trusted away at Newcastle, who have had a bit of a shaky run. And I think I think all of the 9 players that are going to come back into the Leicester team are going to need to prove that they are worthy of their places, because the reserves did a really good job the other day. There we go, James. We've wrapped it up in a bow, tied up nicely. Deliver that package to the listeners. Happy New Year!
I think Kane or Vardy are the best captaincy shouts.
Yeah.
This week over the Liverpool guys. Just stop looking at Sheffield United as Sheffield United. Like, start treating them as a very
as
good
a real threat there.
They will go there, and do you know what? They're as likely to go to Liverpool and beat them as probably anybody else. They are very unlikely to do so, by the way, but they could give Liverpool some problems on Thursday.
There we go, listeners and viewers on the old YouTube. Thank you for tuning in to another episode from Planet FPL. We will be back on Friday. Friday will be the 3rd of January with another full podcast wrapping up all of the New Year's Day fixtures plus the 2nd, which is the Liverpool-Sheffield United game. And on Friday, we'll let you know what our plan is next week. I'm buggering off for 4 days off the weekend and the early part of next week. Whilst the FA Cup is on, we have to time our holidays around no Premier League football now.
So why are you going away next midweek?
There's no midweek games, is there?
Yeah.
So we've got a bit of time, and we've recorded so much through this period that people are probably sick of the sound of our voices.
Just re-release as the People's Poll, the Christmas pod again.
Yeah, why
just
not? Have
a
listen to that, because that genuinely was a good listen. So if you are twiddling your thumbs on Monday next week, but we'll be back at you on Friday. We'll let you know exactly what we're planning over the course of January as well. Thank you for listening. Do stay tuned. Hit like, subscribe, share, notifications, all of that other stuff that you're supposed to do. Ciao for now.
Cue music, man, child.
The Fantasy Football Show.